Qattara Depression is located in Egypt, just a little bit away from Cairo.
Beneath Egypt's blazing sands lies a colossal wound in the earth.
The largest hot desert in the world, the Sahara, is one of the driest places on Earth.
A place hundreds of feet below the sea. Now, engineers plan to cut through the desert itself, letting the Mediterranean rush inward. A single idea that could either power a nation or drown it. A sea below sea level. Deep in Egypt's western desert lies the Qattara Depression, a sunken world where the ground plunges more than 400 feet below the sea. From above, it looks like a wound carved into the Sahara, vast, silent, and shimmering under an endless white sky. Salt pans stretch for miles, their surfaces cracked like old porcelain. Wind sculpts ridges of sand into frozen waves, and heat bends the air until the horizon ripples like water. But beneath this hostile landscape lies an ancient question, and a modern temptation. What if you could turn emptiness into energy? What if gravity itself could power a country running out of river and oil? Scientists first mapped the depression after World War I, expecting only dust and mirages. Instead, they found fossilized shorelines, evidence that this wasteland had once held an inland sea. The realization set imaginations ablaze. If seawater could somehow reach this place again, it would flow naturally, filling the basin without a single dam or drop of rainfall. It's the kind of idea that lives on the edge of madness. Simple in principle, staggering in scale. A canal from the Mediterranean to the heart of the desert. A sea reborn under a sun that never forgives. The idea that would not die. The dream began over a century ago. In 1912, German geographer Albrecht Penck first imagined flooding the Qattara Depression to harness the pull of gravity itself. A decade later, British geologist John Ball turned that vision into a blueprint. He realized that if seawater could be guided inland, the natural drop in elevation would generate enormous hydroelectric power, a silent engine running forever between the sun and the sea. The idea was seductive. Endless energy from a landscape no one lived in, no villages to relocate, no rivers to dam. Just a pipeline between two worlds, the living sea and the dead desert. But what started as a geologist's thought experiment soon became a geopolitical obsession. By the 1950s, during the height of the Cold War, even the CIA was interested. Declassified documents show President Eisenhower reviewing a plan to flood the Qattara Depression as part of his Atoms for Peace initiative. Engineers proposed using nuclear explosions, 213 of them, to blast open a 50-mile channel through the El Difa Plateau. Each detonation would carve a section of canal, releasing the Mediterranean into the Sahara like a controlled cataclysm. It sounded visionary and insane. Seismologists warned that so many blasts could destabilize nearby fault lines, possibly triggering earthquakes along the Red Sea Rift. Environmental scientists feared radioactive dust would poison the very land the project was meant to revive. And so, quietly, the plan was buried. Yet, the concept refused to die. Every generation rediscovers it, dressed in new technology. Satellite mapping, tunneling machines, and renewable energy demands keep pulling the idea back from the sand. And in 2023, Egypt did something that startled historians and dreamers alike. It reopened the file. Machines that eat stone. This time, the plan doesn't rely on atomic fire, but on steel giants. Where the Cold War once promised explosions, modern Egypt turns to precision. Tunnel-boring machines, descendants of those that chewed beneath the Suez Canal, are now imagined as the key to opening the Sahara. Each one is a cathedral of machinery, a rotating shield, the height of a 4-story building lined with tungsten teeth that grind through rock and clay. As the cutter head turns, crushed earth travels backward on conveyor belts, replaced by rings of concrete that line the tunnel's walls. The process is slow, patient, and unstoppable, like the desert itself. Egypt has done this before. Similar behemoths were used to carve the twin tunnels under the Suez Canal, connecting the Sinai to the mainland. Each was more than 450 feet long and weighed over 10 million pounds. The engineers who controlled them called them moles that eat stone. For the Qattara plan, these machines would dig a network of tunnels beneath the El Difa Plateau, allowing seawater from the Mediterranean to flow inland purely by gravity. The depression's lowest point lies hundreds of feet below sea level, meaning no pumps, no dams, just nature's gradient at work. Once the basin fills, evaporation would begin almost immediately. But that's the beauty of it. As water disappears into the desert heat, new seawater rushes in to replace it. The constant flow could spin turbines day and night, creating nearly 6,000 megawatts of power, enough to rival multiple nuclear reactors. To some, it's a miracle of modern engineering. To others, it's a slow-motion gamble, rewriting the geography of a continent to feed a nation's thirst for energy. Balancing water and sun. Turning a desert into a sea isn't just engineering, it's choreography. Every drop must be accounted for. The Qattara Depression sits in one of the hottest regions on Earth, where summer temperatures can top 50 degrees Celsius and the horizon quivers with heat. That heat is both the engine and the enemy. As seawater rushes into the depression, it begins to evaporate almost immediately. Within weeks, shimmering sheets of brine would form along the edges. If too much water escapes, the basin shrinks into a crusted salt pan. If too much enters, it could overflow into fragile oases. The success of the entire plan depends on a delicate equilibrium, where inflow and evaporation perfectly balance, maintaining a stable inland sea that never drains and never floods. If achieved, this balance could drive a self-sustaining current through underground turbines, producing electricity without burning a single gram of fuel. Early studies estimate the system could generate nearly 5,800 megawatts, roughly 6 times the output of Egypt's Aswan High Dam. The water's movement alone would create a new climate zone, cooler, more humid, and alive with shifting wind patterns. But the rewards come with risk. Introducing seawater could change air circulation, affect nearby farmland, and alter ecosystems shaped over millennia. Scientists warn that even minor miscalculations could turn the miracle into a catastrophe. A mirror-flat inland sea giving way to a toxic, evaporating salt bowl. And yet, Egypt seems ready to try again. Salt, lithium, and the new frontier. If the sea truly reaches Qattara, it won't stay blue for long. Over the years, as the water evaporates under the desert sun, it will leave behind something else. Salt. Mountains of it. The same mineral that built ancient trade routes could once again become Egypt's newest currency. The first settlers around this artificial lake would likely be miners, not fishermen. Salt harvesting would begin almost immediately, forming terraces of white crystal along the basin's edge. As the lake grows hypersaline, its chemistry changes, concentrating rare minerals in the residue. Among them is lithium, the metal that powers modern civilization. Across the Red Sea, Saudi Arabia and the UAE are already experimenting with lithium extraction from salt flats. If Qattara becomes a controlled brine field, it could transform Egypt from a fossil fuel importer into a supplier for the electric age. What began as a hydro project might end as a strategic resource operation. A desert reborn, not with crops and rain, but with batteries and energy independence. But beneath the excitement, one truth remains. The desert always takes back what it's given. Over decades, the lake would thicken, growing shallower and denser, until it's more salt than sea. In the end, the basin could rise by dozens of feet, its surface gleaming like glass. A man-made Dead Sea shimmering in the heart of Africa. The Qattara project is less about conquering nature than bargaining with it, wagering that human precision can outthink geological time. Whether it succeeds or fails, it will redefine what a desert can be. If Egypt dares to cut open the Sahara, it won't just reshape its own map. It will test humanity's power to rewrite the planet's design. From sea to sand, from salt to light, the Qattara dream reminds us. Creation and destruction often flow from the same tide.